So today we're going to talk a little bit about how to make money with your blog. So we are both full-time bloggers. You would call yourself one. I'm calling myself one.
I certainly work enough hours doing it, so yeah. Yes, I think that's accurate.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk a little bit about how we were able to make money with our blog. So we'll start with a brief introduction of ourselves. If you want to go first, Megan.
Sure. Actually, Connor just covered a lot of the information on there, but I am a stay-at-home mom of 5. I homeschool. My oldest is actually 11, so I need to update that. He'd be upset if he knew that it still said 10. But as it says there, I used to work for DCD, and in my blogging life, I now have worked with CBS, Verizon, Bissell, Crock-Pot, SodaStream, Hershey Park, and I'm an ambassador for Project Involve, which is a division of PP&L Electric.
And just like Connor said about me too, I'm a full-time blogger. Mom, wife, recipe hoarder, and my blog is called It's a Keeper. I'm a field editor with Taste of Home magazine, kitchen expert with goodcook.com, and I've been on WNEP's Home and Backyard here and there as well. Like Megan, I've worked with a number of national brands for sponsorships and different types of opportunities on my site. So today, like I mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit about how to make money with your blog. So can anybody, raise your hand if you are currently making money on your website, on your blog? So like 4. Okay. Good. Well then hopefully you'll learn something today. This is awesome. That was kind of what we were hoping we would see, is that everybody else was like already making a boatload of money off their website. So hopefully we can share with you some of the tips and tricks that we've learned along the way.
For the people who did not raise their hands that you're not making money, is it because you haven't currently monetized, or is it you just don't even know where to begin, or is it that you do have monetization and you're making pennies?
Or you just don't care if you're making money.
Or you don't care. Maybe you don't care. Who doesn't care if they make any money on their site? Some of you don't care. Why? I mean, even if it's just a fun thing, why wouldn't you want to make a couple dollars if you're putting time into it? Go ahead. Okay, well, hopefully you learned something.
Okay, so there's basically 5 different ways that we have found that you can make money off your site. There are ad networks that you can work with, affiliate networks that you can work with, sponsorships, product reviews, and then what we're calling our business CTAs, or calls to action. So we'll break these down a little bit. We'll go through them one by one and then tell you what we found the pros and the cons to be of each of those.
Okay, so on the screen here are some current ad networks that you can use if you're looking to monetize. Some of them are well known. I'm sure some of you who've monetized do have Google AdSense, which is pretty well known. There's Blogger Ads, which I use, and I believe Christina uses as well as some other ones, some food related like Food Buzz, Martha Circle, but there are hundreds of different monetization ad networks that you could use. You just have to know where to look for them, or sometimes Google will just tell you, if you type in monetization, you can get some information from there as well.
So the pros and the cons on ad networks include, these are the easiest ways to make money because it's passive income. Once you put the ad tags on your site, you don't have to do a blessed thing but sit back and wait for your checks to come. And it's really that simple. They're very easy to implement. You get your ad tags, you place them on your site. It's pretty simple. You can put them in your sidebar, you can put them in your headers, your footers, you can put them within your posts. There's a lot of different ways and places you can put these ad tags that you can use to make money. There are, like Megan mentioned, a ton of networks to choose from. The most prominent is probably Google AdSense. They're so easy to work with, very simple to use. Now, moving on to the cons, they are driven completely by page views. So the more page views you get on your site, the more money you will make. If you're not getting a lot of page views, you may not be making a lot of money. There were months when my Google AdSense revenue was 17 cents for the month, and they don't pay out until you hit $100, so it took me a while to get to that point. But it gets to the point where it works completely on page views. To really optimize your earnings with ad networks, you need to optimize your website and your ad spots. So you need to make sure that you have the highest paying ad companies showing their ads first in those spots that you've designated for ads on your site. And that's what's called a waterfall. And setting those up could be a little bit tricky. It takes some planning. I have a bunch of spreadsheets that are usually involved with tracking that, so it does take a bit of my time each month to make sure that my waterfalls are optimized properly and that I'm really maximizing the most that I can make on my blog. But this was one of the things that I have used to take me from working full-time for somebody else to becoming a full-time blogger where I am earning money to support my family from my website. Anything you want to add there? No? No. Okay, so the next one we want to talk about is affiliate networks.
Affiliate networks are great because you can really tailor them to what your audience is and what your posts are about. They do take a little bit more work than something similar to like AdSense. AdSense you put in there and it stays there. No matter what you do, you know, what you do on your site, if your page views are up, you make money, but you don't actually have to do anything with them. With an affiliate network, you have to apply for the affiliate, you have to choose the products that you want to highlight, but it really does benefit you to put that time and effort into it because you then make money off of those affiliate sales. So for instance, we're going to use the the woman who spoke before. She does photography, so she could really tailor it towards photography items. So what you do is you sign up for. I'm sorry, this is actually your.
No, go ahead.
Got a lot of feedback. Sorry. You sign up and you sign up with the affiliate company. There's tons of them. So really, any major market store would have an affiliate. You agree with that? Would have an affiliate. So if you want to send someone to Target to buy a certain toy, you can sign up and become a Target affiliate. The next thing you do is you put that link on your site, and you can do that a couple different ways. You can do it in a sidebar with in a widget. You can also put it directly into your post, and it would, if someone clicked on that. So if you're talking about greatest toy and you mention the toy name, you can make that a link and it would take them to Target's website, and then you would make money off of that sale if they purchase that item. And then you get a percentage of whatever your terms of agreement. I think they're typically somewhere between 3 and 8%.
Yeah, typically.
Off of what the price of the sale is. So it's not a ton of money, but if you get enough, if you are reviewing enough things, or depends on what your audience is doing. If they're clicking on those and they're purchasing through that could really add up, through the months.
For instance, probably one of the biggest affiliate networks out there is Amazon. So one of the ways I use it when I'm writing my posts, I'll put in there I use this product, that product, and this other product to make whatever recipe I'm making. And I put the links to Amazon right in my post, so that way if people click on them, it plants that cookie on their computer. So anything that they buy off of Amazon until that cookie is removed, I will get credit for the sale, and I will earn a couple of dollars here and there. Again, you're not going to get rich off of it. Oh no, I guess there are some people that do quite well with it.
Do quite well, but it depends.
I'm not getting rich off of it, so it's just a little bit of extra. When you couple all these things together is where you start to earn some money on your site. But Amazon is probably the most popular and easiest to use, I would think.
Absolutely, and an affiliate program is really where deal bloggers make their most money. It's because when they're posting that deal, they're linking to an affiliate, so they make good money if they're a good deal blogger off of their affiliate sales.
Yeah. So the best part about affiliate networks is they're very easy to set up, easy to apply to, very easy to use. It's just a matter of copying some code and putting it into the HTML of your post or your site. There are a ton of options. There's so many affiliate networks out there. Some of them are bigger networks who then work with smaller businesses that you can work with. They're very flexible. There's a lot of different ways you can incorporate the information into your site. Some of the cons is they can be competitive. So you're competing with every other website out there who's trying to get your readers' attention. So they can be competitive. The commissions can fluctuate. Sometimes they can go up and down. I know that Amazon works on volume. So the more affiliate clicks you get from Amazon, the more they'll pay you. So you start off lower and then you earn your way up. It also takes time to build your readers' trust. They need to know that you're not just out there to sell to them. So working it in organically can be tricky, and you want to make sure that you're maintaining your readers' trust and you don't come off as just, an online marketer who's trying to make a buck off of them. Anything you want to add? Nope. Okay, so the next thing we wanted to talk about were sponsorships. And sponsorships are a great way to work with companies and brands. I've personally worked with a ton of national brands, Pillsbury, Starbucks, Napoleon Grills, Crock-Pot, a lot of big national companies I've had the opportunity to work with through sponsored opportunities. And sponsored opportunities don't just include sponsored blog posts. I've also done some sponsored social shares with these companies. So they would actually pay me to write things on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, even create Pinterest boards, things like that. So it's not just for your blog post. Do you want to share a little bit about how you use them?
Sure. I actually love working with brands. I am particular with the brands that I work with. Obviously, you don't want to take every sponsorship opportunity that comes your way, because then you're just, basically selling your ad space or your posts, for anything. You really want to work with the brands that you want to work with. However, it's fun. It's fun working with brands that you love, and when you really love that product, it's very easy to incorporate that into your life and write about that product. So this is a fun way to kind of talk about things that you already are using and things that you already love in your life.
And many times the brands don't seek you out, you have to seek them out. So one of the things I do is just kind of look at the products and the services and things I use every day and see if there's a way that I can picture working with them and then pitch that brand to see if they're willing to work with me. And my rule of thumb is, what's the worst they can say to me? No, or not answer me. That is the absolute worst that can happen. They can't do anything else, so it doesn't hurt to ask, because that's the worst that can happen. Again, though I do what Megan says, I look at everything and make sure it does fit my niche before I do pursue it. Like, I probably wouldn't go into something that's car care, because it just doesn't fit into my niche. Or even sometimes technology wouldn't, like, I would love to get an iMac or something to work on, but it just doesn't fit into my niche and wouldn't make sense. One thing to keep in mind too with sponsorships is if you get sent products or cash, you will probably have to pay taxes on them. So you're going to want to track that and make sure you're keeping very careful records, because come the end of the year or the beginning of the next year, you're going to probably get a 1099 in the mail, and you'll have to contend with it then. So just keep that in the back of your mind and make sure you're keeping track of that kind of stuff. But again, some of the pros and cons.
You get to work, again, with the companies that you believe in. It's very flexible. You get to pick and choose who you want to work with. Like Christina said, you can go out and you can pitch a company. Say there's a company you use every day or that you really would like to use. You can pitch them and offer up a partnership there. And it's a great way to build relationships. One of the things to remember is if you pitch a company and they come back and say no, don't think it was a waste of your time, because they may come back in 3 months, 6 months, a year, and they may have something that would fit their needs and also your needs at that time. So it is a great way to kind of build relationships with those PR reps, with those companies, and kind of get your name out there. Some of the cons of it, though, are also you need to be able to sell yourself. You need to be able to tell them, how am I going to help you with this product? It's not just about what they can do for you, it's what you can do for them. So you need to be able to sell yourself, sell your site to these companies. It can be very competitive. You're out there with other bloggers, other moms, other dads trying to get these sponsorship opportunities. So it is competitive, and obviously you need to deliver. You need to outline what you're going to do for them, and then you need to make sure you follow through and you do what you say you're going to do. Because when you don't, that not only looks bad on you, that looks bad on all bloggers.
And it could even be a violation of their terms of agreement. I know a lot of the sponsorships I work with, there's usually some sort of agreement that I have to sign before doing it. So I could be in violation of some sort of agreement if I don't uphold my end of the bargain. And I'm of the rule of thumb too with this is under promise and over deliver. So I usually make my offer, but in the back of my mind I have planned to include a couple extra social shares or something else in there just to give them a little more bang for their buck, so that the next time they have an opportunity that becomes available, they immediately think of my name and are reaching out to me.
Okay, another way to do this is product reviews. And a lot of times when people talk about or think about monetization, it doesn't always just have to be money. Although money is nice, sometimes it's just the product. And that can be very beneficial for you and for the company as well. Again, you get to work with those companies that you believe in. It's flexible and you're still building those relationships. You have to think about, though, if you're doing a product review, you need to know that what are you going to do if you don't like the product or the product doesn't do what it was supposed to do? So keep that in the back of your mind. Again, you want it to fit your niche. You don't want to just write about anything and everything. And you got to really think about, is it worth your time and effort? Our friend Jenna, who we work with a lot, her big thing is always you don't want to write for the free jar of mayonnaise because it's not worth your time. So when you start getting pitches or you want to work for product, you got to make sure that it's really worth your time. If you want to write about mayonnaise, feel free, but make sure that that's really serving yourself and serving your audience.
Or you're at least getting a case of it
Or
instead
you're
of a
at least
jar.
getting, yes, that you're not just getting one jar.
Yeah, because it's definitely not worth, I'm at the point now where it's not worth my time to write for a $5 product. My time is worth much more than that, and I can spend my efforts and my energies on other things. So I always kind of keep that in the back of my mind. If I'm willing to take something, would I do it for free? If I'm thinking to myself, am I that passionate about it that I would write about this for free, then I'll definitely do it. But if it's a company that has pitched me, chances are there better be something, more concrete behind it than a jar of mayonnaise. And again, with product reviews and sponsored posts, you have to remember that you always have to disclose it to your readers, that you've received something in exchange for a review or a sponsored post. So there's a lot of policies out there that you can find, disclosure policies. I always put a blurb at the top of any sponsored post that says this post was sponsored by X, Y, and Z. I received either compensation or product in exchange for my opinions, but my opinions are 100% my own and not influenced by the product. So if I didn't like the product, I could feel 100% okay with writing something negative. Generally, I've never written a negative review. If I feel negatively about something, I will contact the company and let them know, this is how I feel, how would you like me to proceed? Just because I don't want to ruin that relationship or put something out on my website that will change the way other brands look at me. So if they see that you're writing negative things out there, other brands may be less apt to want to work with you because they don't know how you're going to respond to their product or service. So I always try to keep that in mind and keep that end brand and my own reputation in the back of my mind when doing that. So some of the negativities are, what if you don't like the product? And I think we talked about that a little bit. Does it fit your niche? I'm not going to review a cell phone because that doesn't fit into my cooking and food blog niche. So I really try to take careful stock of that before I accept a product review opportunity. And then what are you willing to work for? So that goes back to the whole jar of mayonnaise thing. I know Megan can probably speak to this. Once you get into the network where these brands start to know you, sometimes they just randomly send you things. There's days I swear my UPS man and my FedEx guy hate me. I saw, it was one particular day, the FedEx guy came to my house twice, and the UPS guy was there 3 different times dropping things off. And they were things that I hadn't asked for that just kind of like show up on your doorstep. And then you're like, ooh, I don't really want to write about this, it doesn't really fit my niche. So you just have to be prepared and know how you're going to respond to those kinds of things.
One of the things I also wanted to mention, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Was when you start working for products, we were talking about the jar of mayonnaise, or even if you're working for compensation, keep in mind that whatever is pitched to you, you can then make bigger if you want it. I was at a conference earlier this summer, and Vera Sweeney was the keynote speaker. And for those of you that don't know who Vera Sweeney is, she is, in my opinion, like a superstar blogger. She is the sole breadwinner in her family. Her husband is a stay-at-home dad, so she supports her entire family with her blog. And one of the things she was saying is when she gets pitches from a company, they'll pitch her and they'll say, we'll do one post at X amount of dollars. And her goal is to always pitch back and say, how about 3 posts at this much money? Or if they pitch her 3, how about 5? Because her goal is always to make it into a longer partnership between her and the company. So keep that in mind. If you get a pitch for a jar of mayonnaise and you don't want to take the jar of mayonnaise, then pitch back and say, hey, this doesn't fit my niche, this isn't what my target audience is, but how about this? And if they say no, they say no, but it never hurts to ask. In fact, this just happened to me earlier this week. I was pitched by a company to write a post. I wrote back and said, how about we spread it out a little bit? And I pitched back with a different number, and they wrote right back and said, absolutely, that works for us. So it really, when you start thinking about things in terms of that way, it doesn't have to be what they offer you. You can always pitch back. And if they say no, but they might keep you in mind for another thing down the road. And that's all about what we were saying about building the relationships with the companies.
Yeah, great point. So the fifth way that you can make money on your site is what we're calling business call to actions. And basically this is, what can you sell on your site? What can you create other than blog posts that you can sell? This could be a printable document, an ebook, some sort of training, consulting, anything like that. Both Megan and I and our friend Jenna, who's also a blogger with Bucktown Bargains, we formed another alliance called Eventful Moms. So one of the things, the business CTAs that we have, is we do blog consulting and training. We also hold events, and that's kind of our CTA with this. We banded together and felt like the synergy of the three of us together was greater than just each of us off doing our own thing. I've written an ebook, and that's one of my call to actions that I have on my website, so I have that out there. So just always kind of think about what you can sell. And while these call to actions probably have the highest return and the highest potential to make money for your business or your website, it's also probably the one that's going to require the most amount of work. There's no passive income with this type of income. You can't just sit back and wait for it to come to you. You actually have to get out there and do the legwork and put the time into it. So this is one of those kinds of things that you're really going to want to think about and put the time into. It's very flexible, and the sky's the limit. So anything you can think of that you can sell on your site, whether it's a product or something that you make or do, or you know, it's something like a printable or an ebook. You can have those kinds of things out there to earn you money. Again, some of the negatives are it's going to require a lot of work, and really need to think about what's going to set you apart. I know when I did my ebook, I really had to get out there and scour and see what types of ebooks were out there, and make sure that I just wasn't recreating something that's already been done over and over and over again. And then also think how you're going to promote this call to action that you have out there. So, you know, are you going to work with other bloggers? How are you going to get the word out there so that other people know that you even have this service or product available to people?
One other thing that I also want to mention, we don't have a slide for it, is, and it works especially well with local bloggers, is keep in mind that you can sell advertising space in your sidebars to other local businesses. You can do it for money, you could do it for trade. So if you know someone in the area who does offer a service that would appeal to your readers, you can sell them an ad in your sidebar. You know, I have, in my sidebar, I have some local ads. I work with the local YMCA. I work with a girl who offers sign language classes for children, you know, and they have purchased advertising off of my site, and you basically just set it up on your own. You know, you could do it for 30 days, 60 days, whatever length of time you want. And it doesn't typically add up to be a ton of money, but it is something that could be beneficial for you and also for them, because you might, if you're a local blog, you are their target audience, and your readers may be what they're looking for.
I've done the same thing. I've traded out though. So I've gotten graphic design work and said, hey, instead of me paying you in cash, you know, I'll trade you some ad space on my website if you could do this graphic design work for me. So it's you have something that people want to buy. You have that ad space that's out there. So you can use that either to make money or, like I said, to trade stuff out. And bloggers are very flexible. If you're working with other bloggers and you need some work done, whether it's coding or graphic design or anything like that, you can often trade things out with them. They're very agreeable to things like that.
Yeah, and don't discount the small businesses, because a lot of times they don't have the huge advertising budgets to be able to do advertising other places. So they might be interested in buying that sidebar ad for $25 for a month, you know, that you put into your ad, into your sidebar.
So those were the 5 topics that we had, and the 5 main ways that we are both making money off of our website. So we thought we'd throw it out there, see if anybody had any questions for the last few minutes of our presentation.
Man in the yellow in the back.
Man in the yellow. Thank you, ladies. So it was interesting. You guys both started off by saying you're full-time bloggers, and then you each looked at each other like, yeah, I guess we're full-time. So what's the definition of full-time? And the other piece is, you guys are both topical writers. So do you have a length of time before you like overwrite the next article? Like, how frequently do you guys think you should be posting to your site? I'm just curious. So, 2 questions.
Okay.
How much is full time, and how often do you guys post?
Okay. I started as a hobby blog, and have evolved into putting a lot of time and effort into my site. So that's where I kind of qualify it as I am a full-time blogger. I put lots of hours into my site to make it as best as it can be. Do I make a full-time income? Well, that depends on what you consider a full-time income. I will admit I don't make enough to support my family. My husband works full-time, thankfully. Is it my goal to someday be able to pay all of our bills with my blog? That would be awesome. But I think that I consider this no longer a hobby. It is now a job. And so that's kind of what the difference was for me to the transition into the full-time blogger. As for how often I post, I probably post, I'm one of those people that I post when I feel like it, but I post probably 5 or 6 times a week.
Very much like Megan. I started off as a hobby blogger. In fact, the day I started, I didn't even know what a blog was. I was watching the movie Julie and Julia and said, I'm gonna do that too. So I got out my laptop and I Googled, what is a blog and how do I start one? And just went from there. 4.5, maybe almost 5 years later, I'm to where I think I'm a full-time blogger. And how I've quantified it is I left my full-time job to focus solely on my blog. It got to the point where it was growing and growing and growing, and I felt like I needed to put more time into it in order to keep it growing and kind of keep that, fanning that flame. But again, I do support some of my family's income with my blog income. My husband does work a full-time job, so that does help. But that's kind of how I quantify it. I probably put more hours into my site than I would if I worked a full-time job. I'm always on my computer. It's the first thing I do in the morning and the last thing I'm doing probably at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. So I'm always trying to work it in there, but it's very flexible, so I can do my, take care of my family and things like that at the same time. As for the number of posts, it depends. I'm into my busy season now, so the holidays, usually from Halloween through New Year's, for me is generally very busy in the food blog world. I try to do 3 to 4 posts a week. It's one of those things, I keep a very comprehensive editorial calendar, so I have my stuff scheduled out for a while, or at least planned out for a while. I like to be scheduled. It's not always that easy though. But I do plan it out for usually 2 months at a time. I sit and plan my content for the upcoming months.
I'm not that organized.
She's more of a fly by the seat of your pants kind of gal.
I wish I was that organized, but I'm not that organized.
So.
But I do have a general idea of what's coming. What am I writing next? What am I writing next week? What am I writing in November? I do have a general. She has a spreadsheet. I have the general idea. So.
Yin yang.
Yeah. That's why we work well together.
Did you have a question in the pink?
With making money through your blog, first of all, I guess the question I have is how long did it take before either of you started becoming, in your mind, profitable? And that doesn't necessarily mean specific monetary dollars, that means product and too. How long before you saw that transition?
For me, it was, when I first started, it was purely a hobby. I had no idea you could even get products for anything. So that was kind of an aha moment for me when I realized that companies will send me stuff if I ask for it. Or, my opinion counts, or I have some sort of influence out there in the social world. So I'm gonna say it took me probably about a good, over a year to have that aha moment. Making money took a little bit longer just because you really have to get your page views up there. That's the way you're going to make money. Brands will want to work with you once they see that you have some sort of influence and that you have a steady flow of readers and you have people out there who want to see their product and get to know the company a little bit better. I'm going to say it took me, a couple of years to get to that point. However, there's a friend of mine that she's a humongous blogger and she's only been doing it for, I'm going to say just over 2 years. And I know that she supports her family full time on it, but she probably did her homework and probably went in with more of an intention than I did.
For me, the same thing as Christina, because it started as a hobby, I'm not a real good one to ask about, when did that all happen? It kind of was a gradual shift for me. It started as a hobby, and then I started looking around, and as I started looking around and meeting people and talking to other bloggers, I realized, hey, these people are making money. And it's not just money, it's money, products, it's all of that. And why am I putting the time in If you're putting it in and it's just because you love it and because it's fun, great. But it's also nice to get a little compensation for it as well. So I think it was probably a couple years before I really started taking it seriously. And then once I started taking it seriously, it happens quickly. One of the things to remember though with blogging is it's not going to be every month you're making the same amount of money. So you can't look at it as a short-term thing. You have to look at it long-term. Because you're not collecting a paycheck, it's not going to be the same. So you might have a month where you make what you consider to be good money, and then the next month you might make a quarter of that. And it's all just about what is the general overall theme.
Yeah.
So don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged if today you're making $5 and then next month you make $50 and then the month after you make 10. Don't get discouraged because you went from 50 to 10. Be happy that you're seeing growth and that you're moving forward, and at the end of the year, like I kind of set it as, where am I in 3 months, where am I in 6 months, where am I in a year? And I look at it that way. And was there a general overriding improvements?
Could I ask what the page views that you're talking about are, what the numbers are, and maybe monthly uniques versus page views that you thought was something interesting for brands?
I think for brands, it depends, but I think most of the larger brands would want you to have at least, what do you think, 10,000 page views for
For a month.
For a month, I would say, at least.
At least, at the very minimum.
For them to kind of look at you. Now, that's being said, if your page views aren't there, but you have a very targeted niche, or you have a really great idea, it might be worthwhile for you to go and pitch to them and say, hey, this is what my niche is, and this is why you would fit into that niche. And they might, you know.
If you have a very loyal readership too, that can
Yes.
sometimes trump the page views. If they know that your readers will do whatever you tell them to do, or like what you say or your recommendations are very important to them and carry a lot of weight, you can sometimes get over that whole page view number thing. Black and white?
With everything you have to do to have a successful blog, from writing content, photography, marketing, networking, do you plan your months or your weeks out? Like Monday is writing day, Tuesday is.
She does. I don't.
No, I say I do. I say I do. It never happens that way. Yeah, I do like to have a schedule. I'm that type A, anal retentive. I live by a spreadsheet. They make my life calm. I don't always stick to them because things pop up that I didn't expect. Like usually, like my email ends up taking over and things, happen and they throw it all askew. But I do, with that being said, I do like to keep some sort of semblance. I like to have a certain number of social shares go out every week. I have goals for myself of what I like to accomplish each week. I may not be able to get it done on Monday when I wanted to, but I will get it done before the end of the week.
Remember my first slide where I said I have 5 kids and I homeschool? No, I don't have I wish I had more of a schedule, but those 5 little ones kind of interrupt that schedule. So for me, it's more of, I work in snippets of time. And so it's, what can I do in this 5 minutes? What can I do in this 30 minutes? What can I do while I'm in the car while my daughter's in piano lessons? It's all trying to grab those segments of time and doing what I can when I can do it. Now, as I said though, I tend to have a general idea of what's happening and what's occurring. And I also tend to write 90% of my posts in my head before I ever touch the screen. So before I even sit at my computer, I know what it's going to be about, how I'm going to start it, how I'm going to finish it. So, for me, it's just something I'm always kind of mulling over. I'm in the shower, I'm washing my hair, I'm thinking about what am I going to write about? What do I want to talk about in terms of Christmas and baking? And because my site's more like she's cooking and some other things, but I'm kind of like family and whatever. So I get to have a broader range, and I can kind of just write about what I feel like writing about that week.
I think we're out of time.
Are you giving us the hook?
That was our hook.
That was our hook.
So we have a list we can get you. If anybody's interested in a list of affiliates and ad networks that we work with, see one of us after the session or on a break, and we'll give you our cards, and we'll be sure to get that out to you because we do have a list of those networks that we work with and are very happy to share it with anybody who's interested. So thank you all for your time. We appreciate it.